a lot of new agents, they teach us in Keller Williams, okay, you need to call.
Yeah.
You need to get in touch with all your family spheres, like your friends, family, and try to see if they are planning on or they have somebody that they know.
Friends, family, or coworkers.
Exactly.
That's it.
And so-
Welcome to Real Estate Success Partner. We're your hosts, Devin Dubuc,
David Nguyen.
and we're here to talk about how to have great success in every market. Today, guys and gals, we got a returning guest. You know him, Mr. Clint Richey of the Richey Mortgage Team. And Clint, brother, you've brought somebody amazing today.
Yeah.
Who'd you bring with us?
Man, I brought a very special guest. We've actually been chasing this lady around for a good 6 to 9 months because she's so busy. It's Cyndi Guajardo with Keller Williams Realty. So thanks for joining us, Cyndi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring her on, guys, is because she is really, really good about helping the Hispanic community reach their dreams in regards to home ownership. So I wanted to bring her in and elaborate on what she's doing to be so successful and talk about what her and her team do. So I appreciate you guys having us.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here and thanks for coming on,
Thank
Cyndi.
you.
I've seen your production report and you had a great year in 2023. And you know, what's awesome about that is for those of you that don't know, most of you know probably at this point in time, 2023 was a difficult year for real estate and mortgage, but you still had a great year.
Thank you.
And that's awesome. And you know, that's what we love to do is showcase guests that are doing really good things in the industry. And that helps borrowers align with the right people, but it also helps agents maybe find some clues as to how they can also create success in their own business, right?
Of course, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a great year.
Yeah, it was. So let's talk about, how you got your start here. So are you from Texas originally?
I am originally from Monterrey, Mexico.
Very cool.
And I moved to Texas when I was 13 years old.
Awesome. Here at Dallas-Fort Worth or?
To Farmers Branch.
Farmers Branch.
specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been native here for a little bit of time.
For a little bit. Then I moved back when I was 15.
Okay.
Went to law school in Mexico.
Oh, that's beautiful.
For 2.5 years. Came back at 19 and then stayed here.
Very cool. So went to law school. Did you practice law for some time?
No, I didn't finish. It's 5 years to
Okay.
finish. It's like a bachelor's degree in Mexico.
Yeah.
So I did half of the time. I can
Right.
still go back and finish, but
right.
I just didn't. I stayed
Yeah.
here. I met my husband and got married.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So back here in Texas, and when did you get into real estate? What?
It was 2017. I was a social worker before because I did finish criminal justice here.
Okay, very cool.
I graduated. I tried to do law school, and it was just not for me. That LSAT, it was hard.
Yeah.
Especially being or having English as a second language. It
Understand,
was
yeah.
completely difficult. I just wanted it to be over. It was just that bad. And then when I graduated, I started working for CPS.
Okay, very
I
cool.
did that for 6 years.
That's awesome. Well, and I'm glad, I can't say glad, but we're glad that you did transition over to this industry because you're doing some great things here. And,
you.
Working for CPS, I can imagine, one of the things you probably did is help a lot of people, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It was very difficult and it's very challenging. And it's one of those jobs that you have to have a heart to do it. And you have to care for
That's right.
people and for those kids because it's not just like a transaction.
Yeah.
A transaction, it's detached.
That's
like
right.
You're done with that family, you help them, and then you move on. With this, it's difficult because you're talking about kids.
That's right.
That it's life or death situation.
That's
so
tough.
it's very, very different.
It is. But, I would imagine, and we hear this all the time, that a lot of that nurturing heart that you have bleeds over into this industry, right?
Of course it does.
Yeah. Because this is helping people too.
It's
right?
helping people just in a more exciting
That's right.
and fun situations because normally they're getting married or they're planning to move into a bigger home or
That's right.
changing, investing.
Creating generational wealth.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is amazing because now you're still helping people. You're just helping them with a different vessel, and that vessel, like you said, is a little bit more fun.
Of course.
People love getting into a new home.
Yeah.
But the process sometimes can be frustrating, and that's why it's so important to align with the right person.
Right.
And that's where you come in.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. So you got in the industry in 2017.
Yes.
And you're with Keller Williams today.
Keller Williams.
Did you start with Keller Williams?
I started with Keller Williams. My sister has been an agent for longer than I have. And she kept on telling me, hey, why don't you just make a transitional move? She saw me how frustrated, how stressed I was.
Yep.
With some of these cases that I was dealing with, because I was doing investigations.
It becomes personal, yeah.
I was doing investigations, and then I did supervision for investigations.
Oh, yeah.
And
wow.
that was hell on wheels. And so she's like, hey, why don't you just join me, get your license, and do something different? This is more fun. You're going to make more money. And I started in 2017 with my sister as a team.
That's awesome.
And then from that point on, my first year, it was really bad. 2017 was really bad.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't like focused on trying to go and get a client or doing the right things. And then from that point on, I'm like, okay, I left a job with the state that had pension, that had good benefits.
Right.
I need to make money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and a little fear sets in, right? Because you're like, oh, whoops, man, my income and future income is not here right now, and it's me, right? It's all about me and what I'm willing to do. So we talk about not doing the right activity. What was not the right activity?
So calling people. A lot of new agents, they teach us in Keller Williams. Okay, you need to call.
Yeah.
You need to get in touch with all your family spheres, like your friends, family, and try to see if they are planning on or they have somebody that they know.
Friends, family, or coworkers.
Exactly.
That's it.
And so that's where I started like, okay, I need to get back on track. I need to call people and tell them that I'm a
this is
real
what I
estate
do.
agent.
Yeah. I'd love to help you.
I can't be a secret agent.
Right, exactly.
That doesn't pay out
You
so
can
well,
be a
does it?
secret agent, but it just doesn't pay as well, right?
Not very lucrative.
Exactly. Not very lucrative. And I started doing those changes. And 2018, I basically did more than when I was doing in CPS.
Yeah. That's great. That's awesome. So 2018 was your first really successful year.
Yes.
But let's talk about Keller Williams real quick. So you got it in 2017. We've always heard that out of a lot of the agencies, Keller provides pretty good training for their agents.
They do.
What was that experience like? Would you say Keller is at the top of their game when it comes to that for this industry, right?
For this industry, yes. They always say Keller Williams is the training for everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they normally, that's where normally they new agents start, and then they switch around for whatever reason. But they're pretty good about training us and basically drill us like, okay, this is what you have to do to become a successful agent.
Be successful. You may not know this. I know this, but you're not far removed talking with Clint here because his mother was one of the original Keller Williams agents. In fact, she's in Gary Keller's book. She's actually listed in that book.
I did not know that.
He's got a very extensive real estate background. His mother worked with Gary Keller, back in the early stages of Keller Williams, but his father actually works for Champion School of Real Estate.
I love Champions. That's where I went.
Yeah, very cool. You may know him. Gary Richey.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, so that's Clint's dad, and that's where he got his start in this industry.
Yep.
So he also has a very solid real estate background. He's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I'm a Keller Williams fan, especially since especially
family.
Yeah, well, especially since I heard all the stories. As I've been telling David and Devin about this. Is like as you grow up, you're just a son, and you really don't care about. I mean, you kind of care about what your parents do, but you don't ask the intrusive questions, right? You're not as vested. And then when you get older and you start hearing some of these stories, you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. Wow, I didn't even know all these things. So I'm a Keller Williams fan. And, as my dad continues to say, they provide, first notch training, support.
That's true.
Because when you first get out there like a little duckling, right, you're like, I don't know what to do. Please help.
Exactly. And you encounter that as a Keller Williams agent, being a new agent, having the mentorship of Keller Williams, their training school, and on top of that, having my sister, who was a seasoned agent, really helped me out.
That's awesome.
Getting out there.
Great mentors.
And not getting sued.
Yes, true.
Great mentorship is super important.
Yeah.
And, I think that's a pro tip is when you're getting first started in the industry, make sure you're aligning yourself with an agency that can give you the proper support, but also with a good mortgage or real estate mentor, right?
Yeah.
Somebody that has some experience in the industry that can help transition you into the agent that you've become, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So 2017, you're still part of the team. Are you still teamed up with your sister today?
We are.
That's awesome.
We are.
That's awesome. Well, where she's at, we need her here.
Yeah.
Next podcast.
Next
Of
podcast.
course.
Yeah,
Next
we
podcast.
could dynamic duo.
That's very cool. So, so transition in 2017, start to have a little bit more success.
Yeah.
But that's definitely blossomed from there.
Yeah, definitely. So every year I started like reaching a little bit more,
Yeah.
little bit more. And
Yeah.
so it got me to a comfortable spot in my career
That's right.
as an agent and trying to get, more and more business and trying to help more and more people.
Yeah. Well, success isn't overnight, and a lot of people think that it is. They look at that agent or that originator, that particular person, and they go, "Man, overnight success," right? What they don't realize is there's a lot of nights.
Well, they don't realize it's the longest night ever.
Yeah, it really
That's
is.
true.
It really is. Yeah.
So I got a question. So let's talk about this because obviously we talked about predominantly your clientele is Hispanic based, Latino based. What do you think is your biggest strength with them in regards to marketing to the Hispanic community? We talked about your social media presence, but talk to me about some of the things that you've learned, through trial and error throughout the process.
So first, the Hispanic community, what I've noticed, and being Hispanic myself, we're not very trusting. So it's difficult for another agent that doesn't speak the language.
Yeah.
And maybe in all communities, right?
Absolutely.
We feel more comfortable to talk to someone that speaks our own language,
That's right.
that can explain to us. And once they see the process, and it's like, okay, it became so easy because you explain me, the process and everything, and it's painless.
That's right.
So once they realize that, they're like, okay, well, my comadre needs to find a house, or my cousin is looking for a house, and that becomes, okay, I'm then the realtor that they go to.
That's it. Word of mouth travels fast.
Exactly.
Hey, Cindy's awesome. And if you're going to buy a house,
Just
she's
go
going
with
to walk you through the process.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have any weird questions because she's going to make sure they're all answered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So the sphere is really what's helped you build your business because you help one family, like you said, and then comes the friends and the cousins and the family members, right, and the coworkers, and they're already trusting because they know that you're in the community, right?
Yeah. So that's part of my business. The other side of my business, I work with a lot of investors. I believe it was 2019. I met a good friend that he teaches other investors to invest in real estate. And he markets to the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
And he started using me as one of his agents. So I became one of those
That's
to-go
awesome.
persons
Yeah.
for him too.
That's great. That's great. So you've got two different sides of the business. You've got the families that are looking for homes. Now you've also got a nice little investment side.
Yeah.
And again, you're all, like you said, the majority, that's all within your community, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But you also have the social media. I know that you're aware for social. Talk about that as well. What do you do on social media?
I like to post whenever they close on a home. I like to post or create flyers when I put a home in the market.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do open houses and I do a little video. I'm trying to reach, the audience that might not be looking for a home at that moment,
Sure.
but they're like, okay, I really love that kitchen.
Yeah.
Where is that house at? Let me know, what's the price on it.
That's great.
And get people to kind of think, okay, maybe I want to move.
You know what? It might be time to upgrade.
Yeah, time to upgrade.
I love it.
Which of all the social media mediums like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what do you find that's been the most successful for you?
I try to do Instagram and Facebook. I find that I have a bigger audience in Facebook.
Yeah.
It's just easier. I'm a millennial.
Right.
I don't really like Instagram.
Yeah.
I try to use it, but I'm not really savvy on.
You haven't joined TikTok yet? You're not.
I am on TikTok, but I did that during the pandemic, and I stopped doing videos. It was mostly like funny videos.
Yeah.
But I stopped. I need to probably go back to TikTok.
We've heard good things on TikTok. We just started working on a TikTok presence recently, and we're still infancy stage there, right? But
Okay.
John's been figuring out ways to. Our videographer, who's here with us today, has been figuring out really great ways to engage on there. And what we found is the funny memes seem to do the best. People tend to like the funny stuff. When it's related back to the mortgage industry or the real estate industry. When we try to do the other stuff, the boring talk show stuff, right? That doesn't seem to resonate on TikTok.
Well, Well, you know, with Dave and I, we do a bunch of social media stuff, and we do an app called Reach, and like we reach out to our realtors and our past client database, and we've talked because we bounce things off of each other all the time.
That's right.
The most successful one that we have is like when you send a real estate meme to a realtor, and it's like, you know, the borrower's, you know, client shows up at the last minute and wants to write a contract, and you're like, you just got ready for bed or stuff like that. And every realtor, that seems to get the most responses. They always, because they can relate to
It's
that.
relatable.
And
It's
it's
relatable.
true.
It's relatable.
So yeah,
It is true.
So the humorous ones are the ones that seem to like get the most traction. So yeah.
Or the realtor working and they're on vacation and you're in the beach
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
in the
That's
pool
right.
and you're typing on a contract.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to do it. We
Yeah.
have to.
Well, people don't realize it's the industry that never sleeps. Truly, it's the industry that never sleeps, right? Some people maybe think that's the bar industry. That's not the case. They typically sleep from 6 o'clock in the morning until noon.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't get to sleep at all.
We don't.
Right.
Cyndi, let me ask you a question. You just said that you were a millennial. Have you seen an age group that's buying more in today's market?
Right now, what I see, most of my clients are either around my age or a little bit younger.
25.
What do you want to drink? So most of them is around my age or a little bit younger. I have had some really, really young clients. Like recently, well, not recently, like last year and the year before, I encountered a couple that were in like early 20s, like early.
Yeah.
And that's not really the norm.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. So the reason why I bring that up is here's a stat that I've been talking about for probably 6 months now. 51% of the population in the United States is 31 and under. 51%. Think about that for a second. For the longest time, the largest population in the United States was baby boomers. You know what? They're no longer the largest population. With that being said, when you have a large demographic, what does every big corporation, every big business do? They cater their business to Apple, Sony, real estate. Well, now, if 51% of your population is 31 and under, millennials, all right, that's why I asked that. You are going to get a bigger clientele of that. And back to why social media and all these platforms are so important is the baby boomers weren't on social media. Guess what? Your generation is.
Yeah.
So it's very important that what you're doing. I think I think you are in the early infancies of wherever the next medium of social media is.
Yeah.
But you know, we're talking about an age group that's taken over the real estate business, and we're only going to see an increase. If 51% of the population is 31 and under, how many more of our transactions are going to be at that age group?
Of course.
Something else they're talking about. There's 70 million buyers in the next 2 years that are looking to buy real estate in that age group.
Are there 70 million houses?
No, sir. There's not 70 million houses out there. So
Yeah.
we have a plethora of buyers out there that's going to be in that age group.
Yeah.
In that age group, not 40, 50, in that age group. So think about
You
that.
start talking to them now.
Well, you know, we talk about this all the time. It's like, you know, the clients are talking about, well, I can't afford a house right now. The rates are so high, it's so expensive. And we use those stats. It's like, you can't afford not to buy a house right now because when you have, obviously, supply and demand, when you only have 500,000 or 600,000 houses, 700,000
Yep.
houses listed nationwide, but you got
millions
of
lined up,
borrowers,
waiting
then
for
what
rates
happens?
to
Then we
drop.
have a battle of pricing wars, right?
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
it's like house prices are only going to go up. So it's like buy now, at the right price where you can lock in that equity, and the rate's temporary. We can always refinance later, but you cannot afford, because at some point there's going to be a time where people truly can't afford to buy a house.
And that's what I keep on telling my clients. It's like, if you are ready to buy a house and you can afford today's rate,
Yeah.
buy it.
Yeah.
In a couple of years, you can refinance it. You can change that. When I bought my first house, our interest rate was around what is today.
Absolutely.
And that
Absolutely.
was, I mean, we're talking about 2005.
Yeah, that's right. Well, 6.5, when I got into the industry in 2002, 6.5 was the lowest rates had been, right? And at the end of the day, we were in a refinance boom, right?
Yeah.
And so, now here we are in a day and time where we're getting back to a 6.5. We're not quite there right now, right? I think the rates are getting much closer. And what we know is Feds intend to reduce rates 3 times in 2024. So, by June of this year, we should see rates, relatively lower. I think the best point we're probably going to see is about 5.5. But what people don't realize is for every 1% that the rate reduces, that's going to bring 1 million borrowers back to the market, right? And if we have less than 700,000 homes in inventory today, sure, some people will list their home, but we're still going to have an inventory issue. And the biggest issue that we've struggled with is the media, right? The media is giving people all the fear and doom and gloom of this industry and saying, hey, this is a terrible time to buy. Don't buy right now. You know, the homes are overpriced. But what they don't understand, and this is where people like Barbara from Shark Tank comes in and finally starts speaking out, right, and saying, hey, I think that people are looking at this from the wrong direction. She's absolutely correct. Because what's going to happen is the people that get in right now, it's almost like if I had a crystal ball and I knew that before COVID was the right time to buy a house, right? We knew COVID's about to happen and I'm going to buy a house today and that home prices are going to boom 20 to 30% overnight. Right? Man, I would have bought 100 properties pre-COVID, right? Well, that's kind of the crystal ball we have right now. We know that when the rates slide down, we're going to bring all these borrowers back to market, yet the inventory's not there. So what happens, okay? What happens is the people that wait, now all of a sudden we get back into bidding wars. Home values start to go up, so they get a great interest rate, but they overpay for the property. Where the savvy borrower, and a lot of your investors, I'm sure, are investing right now, right? The savvy borrower gets in right now. Sure, they might take a slightly higher interest rate, but they can select the home that they actually want. More importantly, they can negotiate on the home that they actually want, and they don't have to have these bidding wars that are going on when the market changes. Now, when the market changes, they refinance, they have the best purchase price, and they've put themselves in a better financial position. The guy that waits pays more money but gets a better interest rate. Who wins in that scenario?
Yeah.
The savvy borrower that starts looking at purchasing in January, February, March, right?
Yeah.
Before the craze hits.
Exactly.
So is it just you on the team, or how many people on your team?
It's just me and my sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. You know, I tell people this all the time. Real estate's not going anywhere, guys. Everybody thinking that there's going to be a crash tomorrow, and there may be. We just came off of 2023, which is the worst pricing in the last decade. But you know, 1970s interest rates was 18 to 20%. Pretty sure people were still buying houses then.
Absolutely.
People will still be buying houses today, tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now. And at the end of the day, price points. You know what? Whatever your price point is your price point. If I can only afford a $200,000 house, I can't, because the market dictates $300,000. I can go and buy a $300,000 house. My price point's $200,000.
Yeah.
That's where Cyndi comes in. If I heard her right, you know what? Her audience or whoever her clients are gives her a price point. She looks on the open market. If she can't find the open market, she has these investors out here. I wonder how many off-market stuff that you can hook them up with that's out there. I mean, let's talk about that. I mean,
So most of my investors, what they do is they buy a property that needs to be rehabbed.
Condition.
yeah.
Recondition. And normally they flip it and
Yep.
then I resell it. So a lot of times before that
You're creating inventory.
yes, so that property hits the market. If I already have somebody in mind that is looking for a house, hey, I have this house in Garland,
right.
or I have this house in Dallas that is just gonna hit the market. Why don't we just go into it? And then the
Yeah.
house, obviously, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we put it on the market.
And that's why you want to be on her list, guys and gals.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, she's creating inventory, and when that inventory is coming up, guess who gets to be on the list first?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody likes to be on the VIP list, right? We all, and that's where you come in. You know, Cyndi's got the VIP list, and that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about that. So I'm a new home purchaser, and I speak Spanish. And I'm trying to find and align myself with the right agent. What's that going to look like when I come to you, Cyndi, like as a new borrower?
So I normally just have a quick conversation with the person. I would have a quick conversation with you, what you're looking for. Ask you if you've been pre-qualified.
Yeah.
If not, do you have a
important.
preferred lender? If not, then we can recommend you a preferred lender.
Right.
And then from that point on, we can start looking for a house in the area that you're looking, or zip codes.
Quick question. Why do you want to make sure they have a preferred lender or that they're qualified before you get out there and start?
Well, because
showing
otherwise you're
houses?
going to be wasting your time and mine. If you're not qualified, I'm not even sure what you can afford. I wouldn't know.
You may be showing them the right price point.
Exactly.
Right? Maybe there's some stuff they need to clean up. They get prepared for purchasing that home and aligning them with the right person to get them pre-qualified.
Exactly.
You now know, well, you can start looking in this price bracket, but more importantly, if you can't qualify, hey, here's a list of things that we can work on so that we can eventually make you a homeowner, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to align with the right lender, because sometimes they may have talked to the wrong lender, but last time I looked, successful agents work with successful lenders. Cyndi, you're going to put them with the right person.
Of course.
So they can get pre-qualified or get mortgage ready. Right?
And sometimes they come to me and they're like, well, I talked to this loan officer last year, but my situation changed.
Yeah.
So I got married. So we have to count that other income, possibly. Maybe they switch jobs. Okay, or I got a pay increase.
Yeah.
So we have to account those things. And maybe last year they didn't qualify, but this year
They're ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had
A
several
lot changes
like
in a year.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. A lot changes in a month. Literally in the last 30 days, because the rates have dropped again. We have $200,000 more in buying power.
Exactly.
So a borrower that couldn't qualify 2 months ago for the house that they wanted, they may be able to qualify today. But you know that.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to align with the right agent, because that's just part of that qualification process, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you get them aligned with the right lender, and you ask them a series of questions to make sure that you're going to give them the right property. And they're a brand new borrower. They don't know. They've never purchased a house before. How do you get them past that fear, right?
Well, I believe that once you have a person get pre-qualified, you can really tell if they're serious or not about buying a home.
Yeah.
Because you have to give that all the information, your personal information,
That's right.
to that lender. And if they're not willing to do that,
Yeah.
then that person is not ready.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless they got a pile of cash sitting in the corner.
And most of them don't.
Most of them don't.
No.
And most of them don't. Yeah.
Especially if
most
it's 300,000 or 350.
Yeah.
I mean, the average home price is around 260 to 70.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, the Hispanic community, guys, we all know what mattress money is. You know, do you know how many people that in the Hispanic
Let's get that
community
money in the bank 60
I've
days
vetted
before
out
we
that
qualify you.
$50,000 or $60,000 that because in the Hispanic culture,
Well, they're great savers.
well, it's not that you don't trust institutions. You don't trust
true.
the police. You don't
That's
trust the
true.
banks. You don't trust the in Mexico. They don't. They come over here and think it's the same thing. That's why they keep their money underneath the mattress. Not because they're trying to hoard cash. It's just it's been ingrained in them
Who
for
can you trust?
generation.
Who do you trust?
Again, the trust factors. You know.
Folgers.
So again, it is. It's vetting it
taster's
out.
choice.
Guess what? Hey, we got to put your money in the bank. It has to sit there for 2 months before we can buy this. It's the education behind it. And
Exactly.
and again, sometimes these borrowers are not going to disclose everything to you. You know.
No, they
it's
don't
up
tell
to you.
you.
It's like being a lender or a realtor. You're like an attorney. It's it's privilege. You know, it's not like you're going to go mouth off. So it takes a while for them to trust. But back to why they trust you.
Yeah.
Because
I've
once
had
you
a
acquire
situation
that
like
trust,
that, yeah.
you're family at that point. You know what? They give you the world.
Well, we're talking about money, but real quick, last time I looked, if they don't have cash to put down, there's options for that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can start getting creative. You can start putting money in the bank if they have it. I've had multiple situations like that where the family has their money at home.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, well, how much can I really put in the bank at a time?
Right.
Not getting in trouble with the IRS.
Yeah.
And
Well, and what I was talking about too is down payment assistance programs, right?
That's true.
Utilizing seller concessions. And I bring that up right now because I think there's a really good reason to bring it up, right?
Yeah.
And here's why. The buyer that's looking to buy right now that doesn't have the cash available, right? What's going to happen when the rates drop and everybody comes back to the market? Are they still going to be able to use those DPA programs and get qualified for getting into a home? They may get qualified,
Yeah.
but the seller's not going to accept that offer because last time I looked, when the rates drop and everybody comes back to the market, you have multiple offers on a house. And what do most agents look for when they're looking at which offers to accept? Do they want the one with no down payment money using a DPA program?
no.
No, they want to work with the borrowers that have substantial amounts of cash down and preferably the cash buyer
The cash-
who's not using financing at all. So a pro tip right now, guys and gals, is if you get into the market before the rates drop, you may actually be able to buy a house. Where if you wait until the rates drop, you may get pushed to the back of the line like so many people did. You had FHA borrowers, VA borrowers, some USDA borrowers that literally couldn't even buy a house, even though they were qualified, because they didn't have the cash assets that the cash buyers did, right?
Exactly. And it really sucks for that type of loans, but
Yeah.
it's what they can get, and right now they're in a better market to fight for a home.
They are.
Than if they wait maybe a couple of months.
That's right. They don't have to take what's left over on the block. They get to pick the house that they actually want. So now's a great time to buy for people with limited cash funds.
And negotiate.
If they qualify. And negotiating. Exactly. And negotiating. Well, one thing we like to ask all of our guests is, we know that you're super successful and you're busy all the time and you never sleep, even when you're on vacation, you're working in the business. But what do you do? Do you have a family? What's your family life look like?
I do. I have 3 boys.
That's awesome.
I've been married for 20, almost 21 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My oldest one is a Marine. And
congrats.
thank you. And then I have an 18-year-old, just turned 18, and a 15-year-old.
I have a 2-year-old turned 2 today.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Kai. I love you, buddy. So that's awesome. So you're not just busy at work, you're busy at home,
I
too.
know. Well, I mean, it's more independent. Right
Yeah.
now, my oldest 2 are working, and my youngest one, he's very independent. He's mostly, spending time upstairs.
He's like, Mom, don't bug me. I'm good.
He's
I'm
hungry,
watching
he
social
comes
media, not
downstairs.
yours.
Yeah, no, he comes downstairs if he's hungry. I don't
Yeah.
even go to his room because it's probably a mess.
Yeah.
He's 15. What can I expect, right?
No, we know. I think all of us here on the podcast right now have kids of that age or have had kids of that age. So
Yeah.
we know what happens at 15. They become very independent, and mom and dad aren't their friends some of the times as well, right?
They don't want to go out with you. I mean, if you go out, they just want to stay home.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
This
stuff.
is true.
So, nope,
I
you're
was
good.
gonna say, what do you guys like to do for fun? I mean, besides work.
Yeah, well, you're not saving homeowners
Yeah.
one house at a time.
We like to travel. We like to travel a lot. So if there's an opportunity to
Yes.
go to Mexico or go out of town, we do it. We
What-
take it.
What's your favorite, vacation spot for Mexico? You're from there, right? So
Cancun.
Cancun.
In a heartbeat.
She made it really easy. It's
Yeah,
Cancun.
It's
That's the spot.
Cancun. Yucatan.
Yeah.
I love Yucatan.
Yucatan,
too.
yeah.
We've been
Can't
to
believe so.
Los Cabos this last year. We
Cabos
went to
good.
Los Cabos.
Yeah.
And Oaxaca too. We
Oh,
went
yeah.
to Huatulco. So I mean,
You do travel.
I do.
love it. That's
I
awesome.
I normally travel or spend in Mexico. Go every 2 months.
yeah. Yeah, that's good.
That's where we got to follow her on social media. That's
right.
See her adventures.
Yeah. Well, you got to recharge though. When you're working those kind of hours and you're doing what it takes, and you're closing the kind of business that you're closing, you've got to be able to have that time to be able to recharge the batteries, enjoy a little fun in the sun, right?
Yeah.
We do it too. My wife and I, we love to travel. I think it's it's one of our passions as well. So.
And you have to
You have
keep
to.
the sanity.
Yeah.
You do. Well, we always like to hit you with a really specific question, and David tends to ask those. So, David, let's hit her with one more question before we wrap this one up today.
Oh, I got a good one for her.
Let's do it.
Obviously, 7 years in the business, you've had a lot of transactions and so forth, but what's the one? I don't want all of them. What's the one transaction that means the most to you or most special in your heart?
The one that made you say, "This is why I want to do
This is why I'm in real estate.
It reminds me of my times in CPS because this lady, I was helping several families relocate. There's a place or an area in Dallas that the city was buying those properties and relocating the
Yep.
people.
Yep.
This project started like 20 years ago, but I just got like the end of it.
Right.
I help about 5 to 6 families.
Okay.
And there was a lady that I was helping that was my primary client, and she referred me to another one, and the other one was working with a different realtor. And so I told her, hey, you have a relationship with this realtor, go ahead and continue working with
Right.
her. She called me on a Friday afternoon. It was almost like a Friday evening. It was late.
Yeah.
And she told me, hey, Cyndi, I need a realtor. My relocation money expires on Monday.
Oh, wow.
Because there was 2 parts of it. So
Yeah.
they would get relocation money, and there was something else that they were getting for transitioning. But one of them expired on Monday. I haven't found a house. I just dropped my realtor.
Oh, wow.
So we just
No pressure, by the way.
Yeah, we just had the weekend. So I told her, hey, can you send me that in writing? That you're no longer working with the real estate agent,
Yeah.
because I don't want to step on
on somebody's toes.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
So she did, and she showed me that she had also sent an email to that other realtor, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I met her that evening, and then met her Saturday, Sunday, all day. I was with her all day. I didn't have anybody else. And we basically ate together, everything. On Sunday evening, I submitted an offer for her, and I told the agent, I really, really need an answer.
Which never
before
happens.
midnight.
Which never happens.
I explained the situation, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to rush you. I don't want to rush the seller.
Yeah.
But we don't have time. This is what's happening. At midnight, she responded. We have an executed contract. 6 a.m., relocation was receiving that contract. And the lady called me at 8 a.m., the relocation lady. How is this happening? She was upset. How is this happening? She was working with another realtor, and now you're sending me an executed contract, blah, blah, blah. She just basically yelled at me. And I said, hey, this is what happened. On Friday afternoon, she called me. This is I gave her everything. And she's like, I cannot believe this. She had this accent.
This is a government worker?
Government worker.
Yeah,
Yes.
that makes sense.
Government worker. She was just very upset. And she's like, I cannot believe this. And I'm like, I know. But God heard my prayer, and everybody else, because everybody else was praying.
Yeah.
And she ended up getting a house.
That's awesome.
So Cyndi.
Well, and that's because of you, Cyndi.
Yeah, it was because of you. So
That's because of
what was it? I want our audience to know, because I already know. What's the price point on that house? How much was it?
Oh my gosh. It was $100,000, and he had to pass HUD standards.
Yeah, so I knew that already because it could be more than $100,000 if it's a reload with the government subsidies and everything else. But
That's the number one transaction.
yeah, but that's the reason why I bring that up, because I've seen your portfolio. I know you've done massive transactions, and for the audience out there and everybody that's listening, you spend an entire Sunday. You didn't have to do that. You have 3 kids, a husband. That I'm sure you had a million things you could have done on your own. But what did you choose to do? I'm about to tear up now. You chose to help someone in need, probably because of your background and the help and the need and stuff. That's something that I don't know if you can learn that.
And last time I looked,
awesome.
David, realtors get paid off of the loan size. So
Right.
at the end of the day,
You made less money for spending that day.
You made less money, but that just goes to show why people need to be working with you.
Absolutely.
Because you care.
Yeah.
You absolutely care. And that's what we found is the most successful agents in this industry today. It's not because of they're trying to make the most monetary value. That comes with the territory. But it's because they're doing it for the right reasons, and that's what creates the success, because you actually care about the people that you serve.
Yeah.
Well, if she's willing to do that for $100,000, good God, what's she going to do for someone that's
What
you have the
lengths
full
you gonna
resources
do?
of Cyndi. I'm about to go
That's
buy a house. Just so I can hang out with her.
I love it. Well, as much as we'd love to keep you here all day, we do got to wrap these things up at some point in time. So is there anything we should have asked you today that we didn't?
I think we covered everything. I think
we could squeeze something else out, but we'll save that for the next one when we bring your sister back.
Yeah.
Okay.
We get the dynamic duo here,
Okay,
right?
awesome. Let's do that.
I love it. Well, when the people out there want to find you, and we know they do, how do they get in touch with Cyndi?
My cell phone number is 214-883-2423. Mi nombre es Cyndi Guajardo, agente de bienes raíces para Keller Williams. Mi número de teléfono 214-883-2423.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Guys and gals, you're definitely going to want to work with Cyndi. She's amazing. Whether you are Hispanic or not, she's going to be an amazing resource for you, and she's going to give you great service. So thank you, Cyndi, for being here
Thank you
today.
so much for having me.
Clint, brother.
Yes, sir.
When the people out there want to find you and they want
Yes.
your loan services, how do
Yes.
they get in front of Clint? And I expect you to say it in Spanish.
Hey, it's been a minute, so I'm about to refrain from that. No, so you can always reach me on my cell phone directly, 972-679-1028. That's 972-679-1028. Or you can always go to thericheymortgageteam.com.
There it is, guys and gals. There it is. And I've worked with Clint for quite some time, over a decade. And I can assure you, if you make that phone call, you're going to be happy as well, because he's going to take great care of you or your clients. David, brother, anything you want to throw in there before we wrap up?
No, all I gotta say is thanks for being on the show, guys. If I'm out there looking for real estate, I'd call this lady Cyndi, Spanish or not. The good thing is you get to hang out with her all day, look at houses. But good God, man, I'm not sure I've met anybody that's cared as much as you do. So,
Thank you so much.
She's amazing.
So if you're going to be my advocate and fight for me for a house, I want you. So you do too, folks.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're your real estate success partners. I'm Devin Dubuc.
I'm David Nguyen.
And if you want to check us out, you can find us at realestatesuccesspartner.com. Again, that's realestatesuccesspartner.com. Or come on over to YouTube and check us out at the Dubuc team. That's where you get to see the video version of this podcast. And we truly appreciate it if you'd make some comments. Tell us anything that you'd like to hear. If you want to be a guest on the show, you can request there. And also, please subscribe. And we love those 5-star reviews. Until the next time, we'll see you then.
Bye, guys.
Bye.